Hey, welcome to our final video, final class of the year, before your test at least. And what I'm going to do in this one is go over the last chapter just briefly and go over the quiz, the final test, actually, your final exam. You will need to do a summary of this video, so take some notes and be prepared to write about a page summary. Normative ethical theories. I'm looking for matches. What theory would work on these? What theory would work on duty? I think we just covered it. Free agreements. What theory would that be? What theory would immediately grasp ideas come from? What theory is it about just self, or maybe a theory something more about feelings? So I'll look at these. What normative theory would you match this with? Need to review some things about ethics. What is it? Give me a definition. It's going to be in your final exam. Remember it. You will not be granted a book or phone or anything for the quiz. So it's more than a quiz. It's a pretty extensive test. What's the point of learning ethics? It's to live a good life. Remember that. Then there's three areas of ethics, right? There's meta-ethics, there's normative theories, and applied ethics. I'm just giving you a hint. Remember it. Need to review the embeddedness table on page 13. You need to review the embeddedness table on page 13 and 14 and recognize the ethical theories have three parts. The ABCs of ethics is generally very simple because they do start with A, B, and C. The agent, our behavior, and the consequences. But there are three areas of ethics as well. The three areas then would be a normative, meta-ethics is what a lot of this class is covered. Normative, those are the theories, and then the last one is the application or applied ethics. Those are the three areas of ethics we've looked at, and these are the three parts of ethics that work in this particular topic. Utopian theories should be discarded, so what should we look for? We should look for aspirational. That is what inspires, what brings together, what does good for the world. Chapter 3 is about relativism. Remember these words: autonomy, moral relativism, realism, and anti-realism. Okay. How do you view your world? These are the different stances. Like, you've got that, but we just need to remember, you better know what they're about too. The divine command theorists and so on. And these are just different worldviews. That's all they are. Moral realism contends that there are empirical, factual criteria that support universal moral claims. So what are universal moral claims? They are applied to all people everywhere at all time. Remember these words. There's a couple more on here: altruism, prescription, or prescriptive, descriptive, theist justification, psychological egoism. What are the 3 points to the just war? And do it for a purpose, not for wealth. It can't be waged by some group we don't know. It's got to be by an organized governmental authority, and peace must be the motive, must be the end. What's the Euthyphro dilemma? There are two main options, two questions. Is it loved? Is it loved because it's good, or is it good because it's loved? And then another way to look at it is, does God will it because it's good, or is it good because God wills it? What's the objection about God setting the standard of good? What's the objection about the divine command theory? What did Euthyphro and Socrates talk about that maybe God just wasn't? Now, of course, they were using the gods, plural, but we've applied it now today in our ethics. The objection is that maybe God is arbitrary or capricious. Maybe he'll change his mind and say killing people is good. That's what people are worried about. It's never happened, but hey, that's their concern. There are a lot of people that will still stand on the divine command theory because it's the one thing that is consistent. All the others change with the whim and changes of the times. God doesn't. So you might be prepared to explain how he does or doesn't. Aristotle, Jeremy Bentham, all these people on here, all of these people have a normative theory that they may be equipped toward, or maybe a stance like Carol Gilligan about feminism. So be prepared to name the name. And then I'll have some things in there for them. Where do they belong as far as theories, normative theories? You can see these popping up. Here they are. Those are the answers. I'm looking for them on the final. And here's the same thing. Mathematics again. And then the breakdown process. Here's chapter 14 of the book. I'm just flying through this. Considerations of breaking down the process is considering the theory, considering your stance. Does it work? Will it work? Should we compare it? How do we explore? We need to test things and that sort of thing. He uses some of these words, the idea of dialectic interaction. He gets into that in this chapter. Should we disregard a theory because of something? To be honest, I think we all use almost all of these theories at some time or another. We might weigh whether we'll do certain things by the consequences. At the same time, we might feel like it's our duty to follow certain things and to do certain things. Or we might just be a divine command theorist and don't give a rip about anybody else or anything else. But you need to break it down and figure out what theory, what stance, and what theory would you use. And this gives some ideas on personal stances. How do we get to our own ethical theory? And he says in the last chapter that we need to consult maybe our community's worldview. You need to consider your own. Be reflective. You need to think about it. Don't just go through life. Remember what Socrates said. An unexamined life isn't worth the living. View your own issues so that you can have a complete and comprehensive stance. Then he talks about the Hegelian dialectic ideas. I'm not going to put this is not on the final, but I felt like I had to go through it since I'm gone. We can't go through it in class. The idea is there's this thesis or an antithesis. Some would call it the antithesis. But there's a thesis and an antithesis, and then the tension, what's going to bring you to your end. And dialectic is going through a discourse all the way to the end, trying to figure it out. You need to reason through these things. So what is your core value? Are you a realist? Or are you maybe more religious, divine command theorist? Or maybe you're artsy. You just like the way things look. Maybe non-cognitivist. Or maybe you're all about whatever anyone else does. You're an anti-realist. I don't think we have to pick just one, but some people think we do. Just pick one. You may have to come up with a why answer. How important is ethics to people in our society? I don't want this video to be longer. I've said this already. Why study ethics? Because we need to examine ourselves. Be reflective. We must formulate a system of our own personal ethics. How do we do that? We need to figure it out. The attempt to understand metaphysical, epistemological, semantic, psychological presuppositions and commitments of moral thought, talk, and practice. That's what metaethics is really defined as. Normative ethics is just the study and the system in place to which you can apply broad ethical ideas under a well-defined prescription. Applied ethics, you got to put the rubber to the road, right? The most specific and concrete area that deals with the applying normative theories to actual life situations. That's about all we're going to have on applied ethics. So you need to remember that your term paper is due and final. This is not the right time for final. I'll scratch that out, but it won't go away. That's all I've got for you. Whole 12 minutes worth. I'll see you next Wednesday, and you'll see the final at 7:45 in the morning, and you'll have other things done by then. Have a great week.